Hi, I'm Dr. Rick Thomas, and just to let you know, I'm not a medical doctor. My doctorate's in workplace education. Did you know that approximately 79% of North American employees experience anxiety and/or stress on a daily basis? Employee absenteeism due to stress in 2009, according to Statistics Canada, has increased over 316% in the previous decade. Workplace stress and stress-related illnesses cost the Canadian economy about $5 billion a year, according to the Canadian Mental Health Association. When factoring in lost productivity, anxiety, workplace stress, and other illnesses linked to mental illness are collectively responsible for a cost of over $40 billion annually, according to the Business and Economic Roundtable on Mental Health here in Canada. So why did I become so interested in anxiety? Well, it stemmed from quite a few years ago with my father. My father was full of anxiety as we were growing up as kids. He was quite a worrywart, and what we called him a worrywart. He would pace the floors and eat and do other things as a result of not knowing exactly what us kids were doing. And that lasted right through to our late teens and actually into our 20s and adult life. So I began to think of anxiety as a really interesting sort of factor, and or a condition that really impacts most of our lives. So what is anxiety? Well, anxiety is an uneasiness of mind, often related to an anticipated or an impending situation or outcome. It's an emotion of apprehension, fear, and sometimes real physical discomfort. So for the most part, anxiety is caused by a fear of a future event, sometimes identifiable and sometimes not identifiable. It can range from mild to severe, even manifesting in what most of you probably know as a full-blown panic attack. Other physical manifestations of anxiety include an increased heart rate, high blood pressure, sweating, cold palms, abdominal cramps or nausea, dry mouth, and for some of us, dilated pupils, and that's just to name a few. A lot of people are very different in how their anxiety manifests in their own bodies. So once acknowledged and understood, we can begin to deal with our own anxiety. And a few ways we can do that, and I've got this information from a medical professional, a medical doctor who deals with patients with all sorts of anxiety. He recommends meditation, conscious breathing, really being intentional about how we take in our air and how we express our air out. Just slowing down in our life, creating those moments of thoughtful reflection for ourselves. Which I know is very hard to do with most of us, with families and all these responsibilities, but slowing down is really important. Exercise and a good diet is incredibly important. Exercise helps us get out of our own minds to allow us to look at things from a fresh perspective. Some of us need counseling or therapy to help us deal with our anxiety, especially if the anxiety becomes more of the acute form. Good sleep, of course, is incredibly important. I know most of us can't get the 8 hours that's requested, but good sleep is definitely something that can help us with dealing with our anxiety. And of course, more laughter and balance. If we can laugh at ourselves more, if we can laugh at each other and have a good time, that will really help to balance our lives and lessen those periods of anxiety that we experience for some of us from day to day. So what I'd like to do now for you is to give you a list of the top 10 anxieties that are really prevalent in workplaces today. And these top 10 have been identified by the Mental Health Roundtable in Canada. They include heavy workload, most of us experience that in our day-to-day work. Technology, the technology that we impact and interact with from a day-to-day basis, hour to hour, whether it's email or text messaging or phone calls from our smartphones. Random and frequent interruptions definitely impact our ability to focus and stay concentrated on the task at hand. Many employees are full of doubt. They don't know exactly where their organization is heading or where their lives are heading. And of course they can't separate that from their work and home life, so they bring some of that stress to work as well. Vicious office politics disrupt positive behavior, which causes distrust. And if you have that distrust, things aren't going to go as well as they should between you, your peers, and your director or your reports. Unclear company direction or vision. Again, not knowing exactly where the organization's going. Career and job ambiguity definitely causes anxiety for us. Things happen without the employees knowing why. So change in communication is often very difficult and certainly something that causes anxiety in the workplace. Inconsistent performance management processes are on the list as well. Employees get raises but no reviews, or they get positive evaluation but are laid off afterwards. So that's been identified as one of the top 10 as well. Being unappreciated or not recognized for a job well done is one of the anxieties as well in the top 10. A lack of two-way communication, it sort of links back to that one on trust. Up and down the organization is definitely something that causes people trepidation or angst. And the last one is, too much or too little to do. The feeling of not contributing and having a lack of control over our own destiny, our own work, definitely causes us to feel anxious at work. So as OD or human resources professionals, what can we do? What does this mean for us in our practice? Well, I really think we can step into being a very supportive individual or offer some supportive processes in the workplace or as consultants. We can engage leaders in or facilitate meaningful and courageous conversations about what anxiety and all of these other types of mental illnesses are doing to our staff to help lighten that kind of a load. We can help build organizational structures that further support individuals, whether it's through the employee assistance programs or that type of thing. And we can help set up maybe stronger work-life balance parameters and or agreements with decision makers in organizations to once again just identify that anxiety and other types of mental illnesses like depression and so on and so forth are having such an impactful role in the workplace of today, and we can be champions for this type of work within our organizations. So that's why, and for so many more reasons than the workplace focused anxiety, it's the reason why I wrote this book, The Anxiety Chronicles, 39 real-life stories of personal angst, honesty, humor, and coping. So, with respect to the book and anxiety that is related to our topic here from the OD perspective, human resources perspective, there were 3 in the book that I made mention of, and 3 real anxieties. So workload anxiety, as I mentioned before, someone just feeling very overloaded with their responsibilities at work and what they could do about that. Another person had an anxiety about forgetting to do something that they said they would. So really responding to that internal sense of their own credibility. And if they did forget a meeting or if they did forget a project, that they would really take it personally and not be able to let it go. So they would experience some real anxiety or trepidation around that. Another one, and I'm sure you've all related to this, is the being late anxiety. This person's real angst. They would get nauseous if they felt they were going to be late for a meeting or an appointment or whatever the case. So what the book is a chronicle, a series of very short stories that I hope will allow people who read it a sense of comfort and a sense of easiness and lightness, knowing that thousands and thousands of other people also experience this type of anxiety or those types of anxiety that are in the book. We've got 39 of them there, and I've got a host of other anxieties just waiting in the wings for perhaps a version 2. So that's where the book came from, and I'm really hoping that it'll help people either at work or during their home life to really live with ease with respect to their anxiety. So thanks for checking out this video. I'm really happy to have spent this time with you. You can check out my website. It's www.theanxietychronicles.com, and you can buy the book at lulu.com. Thank you so much.